Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Speed Gaming. We are coming at you today with yet another Metroid Fusion any percent race here in our tournament, and we are down to the top 6. This matchup is going to be in our lower bracket quarterfinals. And I am Autumn Out of Habit. I'm sure you've heard my voice before if you watch any Metroid Fusion. I will not be joined in the booth today, so y'all are stuck with me. We are about to get going on an excellent race here today between Sci-Fi and Destructor. The winner of this race will get to move on to have an opportunity to go up against, if the bracket feels like loading for me, they'll get to go up against the winner of Bench Juice versus FPIZ. With that said, our runners are readied up, so we are going to be dropping the gate here in just a few seconds. And we'll be ready to go with today's race. And the gate has been dropped, so we just have to wait to catch up for the stream delay here, and we'll be good to go. Looks like Destructor showing off a little bit of sack skip practice. Probably a bit of a hint that he may be going for that in his run today. And both of these runners in the past month over the tournament have set a couple of new PBs. Sci-Fi, I believe, broke into the 113 range. Destructor picking up a high 112, so this is really anybody's race here in this race between our number 5 and 6 seeds. And chat, while we get going through the early game here, how are y'all doing today on this Sunday? Go ahead and get these streams synced up here as well. Looks like Sci-Fi is about 3 seconds ahead, so I will go ahead and fix that. Oh, and the stream sync picking a little bit of a time, just really giving us a bit of suspense there on Sci-Fi's climb. As Destructor with about a 1 room lead through the initial climb. This climb, of course, something that Metroid Fusion runners practice ad nauseum because we love to climb up that and then reset in the first 30 seconds of the game. Beginning of the game, of course, a bit slow as Fusion is a very narrative-focused game. So we're going to go and see that one of those Hornodes got out of the container from SR388. Sure, nothing bad will happen here. We're going to check with Adam. Unlike in some other Metroid games, we don't have any way to skip talking to him, so we're going to be talking to this guy a couple dozen times throughout the game. And Metroid Fusion a couple years ago did switch over to using RTA timing as opposed to in-game timing, mostly because the in-game timer doesn't show any higher of a resolution than just the minutes. And also it allows us to factor in mashing through text as a skill. Destructor getting trolled by a zombie there, and it does not look like he's particularly thrilled about that one. But this helps us get our runners into sync while talking to Adam. About 1 text box apart here. As we get ready to make our way up the elevator and pick up our first item of the game, we're going to get missiles. Adam says that missiles will take us from a 10% chance to a 20% chance to survive it because Fusion hard game. And with any luck, our runners will be able to beat those odds and get through the game. Given the caliber of runners that we've got, I think they'll be able to get through just fine as they go in lockstep into the first data room. And maybe you wouldn't download a missile. Samus would download a missile. And let's see if the bot likes me today. It does. So I'm going to encourage everyone here. I know we're early on. Go ahead and give these runners a follow, 2 of the best in the game, as they are just absolutely in lockstep on the way to Arachnis here. If we ever decide to run a synchronized swimming tournament in Metroid Fusion, I think these two might want to team up. Coming up on the first eye door, between every hit it has a chance to open the eye or shoot 1 to 4 beams, both runners getting 1 beam the first time, Destructor getting a double on it while Sci-Fi having to take all 3 individual shots, however RNG not punishing. Those eye doors are something that most runners of the game end up counting throughout the run. Usually expect to see about 12 beams over a run. We've seen as high as 25 recently. I've heard of people getting as low as 2. We're on to everyone's favorite roly boy, Arachnis. We want to see him not roll, and both runners getting a roll. But not too bad. Destructor picking up the Morph Ball, Sci-Fi with a nice missile there, just off the sweet spot, but still getting a quick pickup and able to get the Morph Ball, and these two are going to be on to the rest of the game. Unfortunately, opening up the doors to let us go get the Morph Ball has led the X to infiltrate the rest of the BSL research station here. So we're going to have to go on a bit of an extermination mission. Metroid Fusion really is a game about us causing problems and then having to deal with the problems. I'm afraid to ask, but what monkey? Oh, got me. Monkey got jokes today. And now we've got Orange Guy making a cameo appearance from Super Metroid. I'm sure that we're never going to see this guy again. And deciding, you know what? Opening doors, who does that? We blow up doors around here. The good news is, we're now getting into the meat of the game, so I'll actually have some things to talk about and don't need to meme about Orange Guy. That said, Destructor first down the elevator, Sci-Fi about an elevator trip behind. And now we're going into Sector 1. Both runners coming in with only 20 missiles. This is usually the optimal route we see. There is an extra pack they can pick up for safety. Sector 1, all about missile management here, as we're going to need to have at least 3 missiles at the end to get through an eye door, and we have to blow up these cargos that are messing up the atmospheric stabilizers through the sector. Each one of them takes 3 shots. The goal is to get through here without taking damage. If we're at full health, guaranteed missile drop, which are the green X that you see coming out. If we take a hit, then it's an 80% shot of getting a health drop at yellow X, and only a 20% to get missiles, so we want to give ourselves the best chance, and sometimes that pirate fall just doing what it did to Destructor there. and it just decides, you know what, we're gonna have a pirate jump over. Or on Sci-Fi's side, it decides, I'm gonna shoot a missile at, or shoot a plasma beam at you. Game just being rude to both of our runners, but with 11 missiles each coming out of stabilizer number 2, we probably should be pretty okay. Going into stabilizer 3. And Destructor missing one of the shots, having to climb back up onto the monkey bars. Sci-Fi catching one on the way down as Destructor over to the East Pirate climb. Fortunately, getting full health, but opting to not pick up those green X, and looks like thinking better of that immediately. Sci-Fi with a better missile count, so Destructor probably, with 5 missiles, might go for a double here. Sci-Fi definitely going to have a shot to double on this eye door. This will be the last time where we have to worry about 3 cycles of it. Destructor with the double there. Doing what he does best, destructing. Gonna have to be careful though. Shooting the eye beam doesn't get you through the door. And we're on to the charge core. This is the first of 5 beam cores we'll be fighting. Have to wait for them to open the little eye and shoot into it. Friday in chat asking who's winning, and it looks like Alara in chat is winning here, as Sci-Fi threw charge core with a nice set of doubles, picking up the charge beam. And I'm sure you all know this, but charge beam, unlike in other Metroid games, actually changes the properties of our beam pretty significantly. When it's charged up, there are 2 particles, each does 10 damage, as well as we get a little melee attack from the flare that does 6, and we see Sci-Fi deboosting into the stabilizer in order to hit with all 3 of those, which is enough to take it out in 1 shot. Destructor remembering to go into the stabilizer 5 room. When randomizer was a little more popular, you started to see runners forgetting to go into this room because in randomizer there's no reason to ever go in here. But we're playing any percent. Destructor cleanly out of it. Sci-Fi not going for the deboost, instead just shooting up at the stabilizer. Very consistent strat there. And just watching Destructor making his way very cleanly out of Sector 1. It looks like Destructor has about a 14-second lead here, by my count. And we are going into a long series of text boxes before we get to go over to Sector 2. And Sector 2 is where you start to see that Metroid Fusion actually kind of hard game. With only 1 energy tank, so 199 energy, a lot of enemies here are going to be doing 45 a shot. Shouldn't be a problem for runners of this caliber, but definitely if a couple things go wrong in Sector 2 and you take a couple of stray hits, it is very possible to see a death. And chat, let's get some predictions here. Do we think both runners are going to go for sack skip? Do we think only Destructor is going for it? Or do we think they're both going to play it safe and not risk losing 17 minutes? And I've posted a boat in chat so that we hope our runners can get some smooth sailing here. And you'll notice going through this windy room in Green Tropical Sector, we don't kill the first enemy we run across, because if we do, it'll respawn an enemy on the right side of the room that gets in the way of the climb. Destructor making great work of those Zoros there, running through the room. Both of those can be going either left or right, and a little tricky time to shoot 2 missiles into the second one. Either it's tricky or I'm just bad. Probably a skill issue, but you know, that's just how it goes. And both runners putting up their level 1 security doors, the blue doors. Metroid Fusion, a game all about opening doors. And now we're gonna go get another series staple here. Gonna pick up our bombs. Flash a little bit late on that guess on Monkey's question, but you know, it's okay. We get there eventually. And our runner's doing a high five in the bombs room. You see Destructor doing a little hop here. Metroid Fusion is definitely a game where there's not a lot of big flashy tech. A lot of it is just the small optimizations. We do the little hop there just so that Samus is already falling when the bomb blows up and already at or max vertical velocity, so that we don't need to wait for Samus to speed up while falling. Flash, don't blame Twitch for your skill issue. As our runners going through the tropical sector, and this is where in the game you get the introduction to the idea that there's a lot of the map that doesn't show on the initial downloads. Okay, blaming chat is legitimate, but also poking fun at our fellow speedrunners, also legitimate here. Okay, Destructor getting 1 beam, and only 1 beam going into Zazabi, our favorite RNG boss. It will do a random number of hops. We have to wait for it to open its mouth so that we can shoot up into it. First 3 phases take 2 hits, and then you have to get 4 hits on it. Doesn't matter what the hits are. Destructor's starting out bad with 3 jumps there. We, on average, see about 7 jumps. Destructor already up to 5. And it looks like the game wants to help Sci-Fi out there with the couple quicker phases here. But Destructor onto the core phase. Using the D-boost to set up the sweet spot double so that he can pick up the high jump boost right away. Destructor doing what he does best, destructing. And also skipping the Zazabi E-Tank. Saves about 4 seconds to skip that. At the cost of some safety. But getting into the top 6, this is where we're starting to see the runners get away from a lot of their safety strats because we need to go fast here. Destructor making that sack skip look easy, and I assure you it is not. Excellent ascent up Green Tower, showing off the weird physics of the cocoons where you can immediately act out of jumping on them. Sci-Fi opting to play it safe and not go for a sack skip. Costs about 6 seconds, which over the course of a run that's somewhere around 75 minutes, not the biggest deal in the world. And losing 6 seconds is a lot faster than losing, say, 17 minutes to a death. course, our runners have to go to Sector 4, so we've gone to 1, 2, then 4. I think for the rest of the game, we're going to go to 8, 30, or 8, 16, and 32, but don't quote me on that. And we are getting the spooky music, thinking about the SAX. Destructor going into Sector 4, the water level. Some of my favorite movement in the run on this first lap through Sector 4. Also, the game remembers that it's a Metroid game, so we get to go left in this sector. Only one in the game where we go left instead of right from the elevator. Why did they design it like this? The world may never know. I have given a lot of thought to the spatial layout of the BSL research station over the years, and the more I think about it, the less it makes sense. Destructor with a nice jump extend in order to get onto the platform without having to grab the ledge. Good movement so far, but both runners here going into Sector 4. Getting a taste of the spicy water there, taking a little bit of damage. And there we see Destructor entering into the gymnast room with a door fix, a concept that we see a lot throughout the run where runners will jump through certain doors in order to better line them up horizontally in the door transition. And of course we do that because that saves the time of lining it up. Conflicts with the fact that Samus moves slower in the air, but there are a lot of strat finders who have figured out which ones are worth going for. And while we get into arguably the best boss in the game, Ceres, chat, do we think either of these runners are going to go for reverse Ceres escape? A series of underwater wall jumps that is absolutely no joke. This boss also a bit of RNG. It has a couple of troll patterns that you can't react to and know where it is. You want to hit it with 2 point-blank shots to get both particles in the flare like Destructor showed off. Otherwise, it takes 5 missiles. Oh, excellent sweet spot to get the kill there. Destructor, basically a perfect Ceres fight. Sci-Fi getting the pattern that I think most runners prefer to get, where Ceres does a zigzag pattern through the room and then does a large arc over it. Both runners now with their speed booster so they can go fast. Destructor opting to take another sip of the spicy water here. It looks like Sci-Fi not going for a low height spark here, instead doing the safe strat where we just mash the A button to get our horizontal spark. Destructor storing the spark a little early, getting into the pump control, reacting well, and just sparking directly to the right. I wasn't sure if he was going to have time here. Fortunately, he was able to get the spike, doesn't need to pick up the missiles of shame, and we get the swag below height spark to save a little bit of time on the way out of Sector 4 and, more importantly, look flashy. Sci-Fi doing just a very short spark here, and then immediately being able to run and charge up speed. Let's see if he also is able to clean this up. And that's Sector 4 in the books. And now the game remembering that, oh wait, 1, 2, 4, we forgot 3. So we're gonna go to Sector 3 now. And this is the heated sector. Unfortunately, we don't see any heated runs that we have to worry about until after we're properly equipped to negate the damage from them. And in fact, Adam will even tell the runners that if they see an overheated room, just turn back. It is not the right way. We're gonna have to open up our green level 2 doors. That way we can progress through the sector and download our super missiles that will triple the firepower of our missiles. And if you ask me, the last good missile upgrade that we're going to get in this game. Destructor opting just to do a horizontal spark across to the level 2 security room. Let's see what strat sci-fi is going to go for. Sci-fi going for what I think is a slightly flashier strat there, storing a spark after breaking through the first blocks, then immediately doing a spark to the left to regain speed and doing a speed jump. Saves a little bit of time on no bonk animation. And our runners are moving here. Everybody say hi, Bob. Bob, the quote-unquote unskippable missile pack. Oh, nice. Sci-fi getting the shine break, unfortunately bonking into the ceiling, so not able to take the fun spark up to the top of the room. Are we going to see a data spark? Ooh, Destructor a little bit late on that. Looks like he would have liked to have been able to get that spark. Running back to the left to activate the boss trigger without activating the trigger that happens a tile further left. And Destructor going for a traditional box skip where you let box start moving across the room. We want to kill this boss as far to the right as possible because it's going to have to walk over and hop up. There's a newer strat that got pulled in from the Hundo route where runners will jump up above and try shooting a bunch of missiles down into box and basically damage boost through it. No one's showing it off today. It only saves time if you get it in 2 jumps. If you get it in 3 jumps, you lose a little bit of time over this box kill. Sci-fi with a clean box kill. Hope everyone enjoyed that little bit of box music, as our runners now going to be on their way out of Sector 3. I see Sci-Fi has missiles, so we'll be okay for a Garen that's going to require 2 missiles in Sector 6. Sometimes we see our runners not have enough missiles coming out and have to back it up with a Shine Spark. And we're going to go to Sector 6 because this game doesn't know how to count. And here we get a little cutscene on Destructor's side. The Federation checking in with Adam, being like, hey, does Samus know what's going on here? Nah, she doesn't know what's going on here. Okay. Also, I just love that mysterious Federation agent silhouette there. I think that is a really good bit of sprite work for a character that we never get to find anything out about. Okay, Destructor has 6 missiles, so also good here. 2807 into that door transition. And chat saying that Adam's a nerd? I can agree with that. I don't think Adam authorized you to call him a nerd, though. And I timed one door transition to get a read on how far apart these runners are, but forgot to check it on the other side, so we'll see where they're at going into the one E-tank that the optimal route picks up, as it is literally free, and then we're going to see our second SAX encounter of the day. A few different ways to skip this, depending on how risky you want to be. And also, we're going to get a preview of the Power Bomb ability. Fortunately for us, the SAX is going to blow up this Power Bomb wall for us. If it didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to get our Various suit. And Destructor going for a safe sack skip there. We really do like to trivialize our SAX encounters. Destructor with a well-placed shot there to avoid freeing a blue X, which does a nice amount of damage at this point in the run. Sci-Fi also opting for the safe sack skip. And oh no, something is stealing our Varia suit upgrade, and now we get Mega Core. The one boss in the game that is not damaged by missiles, we have to hit it with Charge Beam, and runners will be trying to deboost into it. That way we can hit with all 4 particles and get it in a 4-shot. Destructor with a nice double on the first setup. Nice double, and let's see if he gets the triple. Oh, only picking up 2 doubles here. Still able to get the Varia suit. And 29 seconds for that animation to start. As Destructor going to go into what I find the most annoying part of the run, getting out of lower sector 6. Ooh, Sci-Fi taking a hit on the core here. I think only got a single on that one. Just one more shot needed to take it out. And Sci-Fi through Mega Core. And we have about 33 seconds separating these runners at this point, so Destructor definitely with a lead, but not insurmountable. Also, we see with the Varia suit, we get to A, make Samus look much worse, and B, those blue X no longer do nice damage, but actually heal us now, because we are resistant to the cold that they hit us with. Samus, of course, now with Metroid DNA, is going to be vulnerable to cold damage, and Destructor picking up a missile pack that he bombed the way open for on the way into the sector. Slightly more efficient to bomb it on the way out down, not wait for it to go off, and then roll into the tunnel on the way out. Very recent development is the route is actually starting to shift away from getting this missile pack in favor of getting one in Sector 5 on the way to Emergency, but that is a strat that's been getting talked about in the past few days. Not surprising to not see it being implemented into runs yet, especially because the theoretical time saves are really only there once you have the practice down to not lose time to human error. But we're going to go check out the cold sector, Sector 5. Have to run all the way across this elevator bank to get there. And we're going to go pick up our ice missiles, so Get your Fs in the chat for our missile usability once we get those picked up. Looks like Destructor taking a little bit of a breather at the bottom of the elevator there. And Sector 5 in the any percent run is the sector that we see the most of. We have to make 3 trips through here. And I don't know that it's a lot of runners' favorite parts of the game. It's a really cool layout casually, but from a speedrunning perspective, it just kind of starts to feel like you're running errands. Destructor happy to have charged up a charge beam shot there, that way not running into the waiver and losing his ability to soar Shine Spark. And dodging these waivers that can be really annoying when they get in your way. Fortunately, damage not a big concern in Sector 5 as there are blue X all over the place to heal that back up from. Sci-Fi also getting one of the waiver patterns that we have to be prepared to shoot out of the way as Destructor opening up level 3 doors. This game decided, you know what, past Metroid games, they've had different doors are opened by different types of weaponry. We don't want that here. We're just gonna say, you open the locks and the door is ready to go. Clean climb out from the security room. Destructor remembering to go pick up ice missiles. Every now and then you see a runner open up the yellow locks and forget to pick this up. Try to run out of the sector, and then Adam just tells you, go get ice missiles. And you're like, oh no, I just killed my run. Destructor just making the way out of Sector 5. Sci-Fi also picking up ice missiles. Ice missiles do increase our missile damage a bit, however, they take away the ability to one-shot most enemies in the game, as we will instead freeze on the shot that would have killed, and then need to take one more shot to actually get things out of our way, so missiles no longer an effective way of getting enemies out of our path. Now the screen is turning red. Destructor going into the emergency segment. Chat, what do we think Destructor is going to get for an emergency time? Range that we can expect is probably in the 4 minutes and 20 seconds to 4 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock range. As we have one of our other tournament participants dropping in on us here. Hi, Schmade. And the emergency segment here, get your Frankersies in chat as well. This is a decently close race, Schmade. And the emergency segment, I just always love the movement in this segment. There are a lot of ways that you can just really power your way through this and cover a lot of ground very quickly. Looks like Destructor was unhappy about something, but I didn't catch what. perfectly timed missiles so that we don't accidentally land on the frozen stretchy before it is out of the way, so we don't lose our vertical momentum. So far, Destructor's emergency looking very clean. No beams going into wide core, you love to see it. This is our second beam core of the run. And Destructor with the nice double-double there. Thank you for stopping by in and out to pick that up for us. And 4:37 is an excellent emergency time. Sci-Fi getting just one beam here. Probably going to be something in the high 420s on his clear time. Ooh, missing a double. Getting the sweet spot, and that's going to be good for a 428 emergency. I believe, Alara, the best emergency time is 441. I could be missing something. 441 is the fastest I've heard of, though. And the red tower climb here. One of the most satisfying rooms to see whenever the strat fully goes right. Very difficult to get everything clean. And Destructor saying 442 for the best emergency time. Thank you for that. And getting a time like that definitely requires some skill. I think the best that I've ever put up was a 427. Important takeaway from the emergency sector also is that we have our wide beam. And I am on team wide beam better than Spazer. Because wide beam is wide. But now we're going to have to go check on the animals that our SM running friends never feel like saving. And the animals get their revenge in Metroid Fusion, as they are a great source of RNG. Adam, of course, is hoping that the animals turned out to be a surviving crew member. Unfortunately, not a surviving crew member. And Destructor with a clean actual meat strat because it is clearly not impossible. Gonna be a little tight with that shine break, but managing to get the spark up to habitation. This is one of the few rooms in the game that has soft lock potential. There is a frame perfect text box clear that can actually lock you up. Animals not being too kind to Destructor. Sci-Fi opting for a more traditional climb up into emergency. Didn't like the positioning to charge up for the shine break there. Going back to set it up again. Much faster than having to do the climb of shame up the west stretchy climb there. And we're through. And while we're getting a little bit of text and just going through some rooms we've seen before, I'll go ahead and take a look on the calendar here and let you know what else we've got coming up in this tournament. For anyone who wants to see more Metroid Fusion action, later today, at 4 p.m. Eastern, we have got Monkey versus C. Scotty W. Winners Finals. That's going to be on Speedgaming 5 at 4 p.m. Eastern, covered by Schmade and Ross. And then coming up on Tuesday, August 22nd at 4 p.m. Eastern as well, we will have FPIZ versus Bench Juice, and that one will have myself and Friday in the booth. That one, Speed Gaming channel to be determined. And then the winner of the game between Bench Juice and FPIZ will go up against the winner of today's race. And that will be loser semifinals, so not a lot of action left in this tournament as we draw to a close. And as our runners run back into Sector 5, they're going to have to go pick up power bombs. You get just the lowest effort text box in the game here. Adam just says, hey, remember that data room? Go there. And then we go there. Because we clearly, as Samus here, would never do anything but obey Adam and the Federation's orders. And here we have power bombs. The game generous enough to give us 10 starting power bombs, and we will never see a runner pick up another one at any point in the run. As opposed to in Hundo, where we end up with 72 power bombs by the end of the run. In theory, there is a sack skip in that room. I'm not sure, though. I didn't see an SAX. I don't know if it was really there. Sci-Fi picking up the power bombs. And Sci-Fi a bit behind Destructor. However, Sci-Fi known for having a really strong late game, as we are getting into that portion of the run where we have a boss gauntlet to run out the game. So it'll be interesting to see if he can catch up. And clean movement getting out of Sector 5 on Sci-Fi's end. Also of note regarding Winners Finals later today, not only do we have the broadcast on Speedgaming 5, but it will be the first game of the tournament to also receive a Portuguese restream, with Caio jumping in the booth to also cover that race over on Speedgaming Portuguese. The elevator breaking down, Destructor popping into the freezer, seeing some chicken wings in there that I think have gone a little off. feel like I've seen those chicken wings before. As we are on the way back to the ship, and Adam's just going to ask us what the deal is with these animals that are on our ship. Also, the power is off in the station, so Samus, apparently renowned space station tech, going to go investigate it. Sci-Fi taking a hit from the spitters in Spitter Hallway. You hate to see it. Picking up missiles up to 40, and that means both of our runners are going to be picking up the reactor missile to get up to our count of 45, which is the optimal count in this run. Some runners like to go for 50, just for convenience. I know in the past there has also been an argument made for 40. Destructor opting to skip the reactor E-tank saves a couple of seconds, and just also saying, you know, don't need this health that is almost free. And that's just the kind of thing you have to do in a game like this that is all about the little time saves and all about the RNG. We're coming up to Yakuza, an awesome boss, some sort of weird beetle. Destructor getting 2 beams, and we're gonna shoot up a bunch of ordnance onto this, then Yakuza can give us between 1 and 4 rounds. We'll jump up to get grabbed, that way we can interrupt it bouncing across the room. Destructor getting a 1 round, that's what you love to see. Already on to the second phase, very clean. Ideally you want to get a shot off every time it opens up, and just textbook fight on Destructor's end. Couple of doubles here. Are we going to get the triple double? We are. If you want to know what we're looking for in a good Yakuza fight, we just saw it. Destructor turning on the auxiliary power as Yakuza being very mean to Sci-Fi. Looking at a 4 round here. Unloading on it as it opens up. And Yakuza is a very difficult boss to get down at first because it is very difficult to anticipate its movement throughout the room. And it loves to just throw junk at you, do somersaults that do a ton of damage. Destructor onto the next stack skip, freezing the SAX, then running away through a conveniently placed missile block in the floor. Going through the shortest segment of the game, we turned on the auxiliary power. Now we need to turn back on the main power, figure out why it's out. And we think it might have something to do with all of these vines that are all through Sector 2. One beam on the Nettery Eye door for Destructor. Only boss in the game that is vulnerable to power bombs, so we see a power bomb being laid there. We stand on the far right of this platform because that keeps the left flower from firing at us, shooting a few charge shots. That way the goal is to end this fight with exactly 1 missile left over, as Destructor showing off. That way, if nothing else, we have the ability to get 1 shot on the beam core. I think that was a double there. It was. Destructor picking up the single, then the double in order to clear this out and pick up his plasma beam. Sci-Fi hot on his heels. Destructor getting into that door transition at 5234, and we'll see where Sci-Fi is at with that. you see Sci-Fi doing microspacing to reposition to the right sides here, or right side of the platform, without running off and falling into the water, which slows our movement speed dramatically. Sci-Fi also threw with a missile to spare, and getting all green X. You'll love to see it. And there's the double to clear it out and pick up Plasma Beam. So Sci-Fi 1 minute and 2 seconds behind Destructor at this point. That's a pretty big deficit to have to overcome, but as I said before, Sci-Fi has an excellent late game, so we'll have to see. Destructor playing very well today though, so gonna be a challenge. Destructor into Sector 5 for the third trip. Our runners both talking to different atoms at the same time. I was hoping we would see an attempt at the Nightmare Space Boost, but not in the cards today. Destructor not quite getting the Shine Charge, getting the backup though. Doing the almost longest spark in the game. And going into the water level. And these pirates here can be very mean sometimes. Sci-Fi on the entry into Sector 5 as Destructor just absolutely blasting through the flooded lower Sector 5. Kind of amazed at how quickly the sector manages to defrost, all things considered. Game being very kind, no beams going into Nightmare, and Nightmare, a very optimized boss fight. We basically have a scripted way that we like to go through this fight to have Nightmare end up in the same positions optimally. Sector 5 defrosting because of the fire from Flash Frost's mixtape. Destructor killing the first phase in the right spot, getting not the best pattern from Nightmare going forward here. Nightmare is chasing an invisible dot around the room. It behaves a lot like the core X's. Destructor able to manipulate it over to get it to a point where able to kill that right at the point that we need it to get to before it'll move on to the core and picking up Gravity Suit. As Sci-Fi, I blinked and I missed it already on the Nightmare fight. Runners having a high five here. As Destructor making his suit look much nicer. Oh, Sci-Fi taking a couple of hits here and Nightmare starting to move forward. And you see here why we like to try to kill it to the right, because otherwise it has to drift all the way back to the right side of the room. No pirate shot for Destructor. No weird Nightmare pattern for Sci-Fi as well. Breaking into lower Sector 4. Destructor about to open up the red locks, which Adam didn't authorize that. Not going to be happy about it. Making quick work of the bomb maze to get into the red doors room as Sci-Fi picking up the purple suit. Sci-Fi unloading some missiles, taking no chances with that pirate that likes to shoot us. Nice turnaround, and not touching a single platform on the way down in that room. That was a lovely lower Sector 4 entrance by Sci-Fi. Destructor getting trolled a little bit by the Hermit Crab Sonic Booms. On the way to the last data room we're going to use. Locked behind level 4 locks in Sector 4, going to pick up diffusion missiles. Which, fun fact, the Federation doesn't want us to have those. However, they already sent the download. And there's something that the Federation just doesn't want Samus to find out about. Very clean movement from Sci-Fi, hesitating to avoid getting hit by the Sonic Boom there. Unfavorable Hermit Crab pattern. Nice space boost there into this climb room. The room more or less intending for you to freeze enemies as you go up to have a platform to shoot out the missiles from, but we know how the room works, so we just space jump up the room. 1 hour and 23-second Sector 6 entry for Destructor. Get your cat jams ready, chat, because we are going to see our friend box again. It has upgraded to an Xbox. Flash, what do you mean it's not an upgrade? It jumps way higher now, and it can shoot missiles that home in on us. Also, it has a little swimming pool now. Do you know how expensive it would be to have that big of a swimming pool, even if it is shallow? And it looks like Destructor still with slightly over a minute lead on Sci-Fi here. And this is one of those bosses that extremely difficult casually, but once you know where it opens up, not too bad. Unfortunately, taking a couple of missiles there, so having to take an extra jump. And this is the one core that you almost never see runners go for a double on. There is a setup for it. It's very difficult to set up. And Schmade pointing out that Sci-Fi is cooking.
Warning, no entry without authorization. Warning, no entry without authorization. Warning, no entry without authorization.
Also, the game not making it clear if we are allowed to be where we're at.
Warning, no entry without authorization.
And just like that, Sci-Fi already onto the Xbox fight. Good spacing here. deciding to deboost into it to get a couple more shots off. Beautiful fight from Sci-Fi.
Fire alert. This sector will soon be locked down.
Did he go for a double there?
60 seconds to isolation lockdown.
Oh, and I blinked and I missed what Destructor's Metroid escape was. The game giving you a whole minute just to go up one room. Now Destructor getting chastised as Sci-Fi finding out that there are in fact Metroids in this Metroid game, including at several stages of their life cycle. Throwback to Metroid 2 there. Metroid 2, the most underrated game in the series, I would say. Sci-Fi cooking up a 55-21 escape. And also jettisoning the SAX off of the station, so no more SAX for the rest of the game. Oh, Destructor getting trolled quite a bit by these golden pirates here. So the game just checks to see if Samus and the pirate are facing the same direction at the point of contact. If it does damage, and taking hits and getting deboosted from them will throw things all kinds of off with that. Two-beam Ridley door. Those chicken wings have thawed out, and I think I was right that they've gone off. Another of those fights that really difficult to react to until you have a ton of practice in it, at which point you get the boss onto almost a script. Destructor with a textbook Ridley fight there. And getting the triple double, and Destructor very happy to see that. Getting those doubles with diffusion missiles with the cooldown between shots, very difficult timing on that one. I believe Destructor is doing what he does best, destructing. And now Sci-Fi's time to take on the loudest sound in the universe. And that's another dead chicken. Oh, looks like not catching that second double. I didn't catch if the initial one was a double. It was not. Sci-Fi through Ridley as Destructor going back through Sector 1. We are finally back here. Well, I guess we've been here the whole time in the Turian area because this is lower Sector 1. Flash, thank you for pointing out that Destructor just 18 seconds behind PB, and his PB, I believe, is a 1:12:57. At this point, it's very much Destructor's race to lose, but Sci-Fi's still going to put up a very nice time. the real winner here, though, everyone getting to watch some just absolute top-tier Metroid Fusion play. And now Adam locking Samus in a room, saying, "You're going to wait for the Federation to show up. Just sit here and think about what you did." And the game actually trolling new players here in that you finish the cutscene and you can't get out of the room. Some people think they're soft locked because you have to go off the platform and back onto it to get Adam to re-talk to you. And this cutscene's so long that Sci-Fi actually going to enter the cutscene before Destructor can leave it. Beautiful pace on the lower sector 1 escape. Also, Destructor finding out that there are at least 10 more SAXs on the station, gonna go fight one of them. And then in true Metroid fashion, we are going to blow up a planet. Samus so intent on blowing up planets, she's gonna blow up a planet that this game doesn't even take place on. Where Destructor's going, we don't need saves. Not happy about dropping that jump there. And just the nerves probably pretty high trying to close out what is a really nice run. That is one of the hardest things to overcome in these final splits. And Sci-Fi behind by, I believe, about 1 minute and 13 seconds here. Destructor getting the stun lock, getting the fabled 4-shot. Apparently it is, in fact, not a myth. And here's the most cursed pornoed in the game. A throwback to the first enemy that we saw break out of the containment all the way back in the intro. Destructor with 1 double. Destructor with 2 doubles. Is he going to get the triple double? He is going to get the triple double. You love to see it. And the real question, chat, is Destructor going to validate the run and get the low height swag spark on the way out? High five in the elevator room. Sci-Fi still putting up an excellent run. Three shots, 4 shots, and 5 shots. Very difficult positioning to get the 4-shot kill on the first phase. Ooh, slightly different setup than I'm used to seeing for Phase 2 SAX. Destructor with the door fix, unfortunately bonking on the platform, and let's see if he's gonna give us the swag spark. And I saw a little bit of lag, so I didn't catch on Sci-Fi's side, but looks like not getting the doubles. Destructor bonking, getting most of the way. And one more Metroid in our Metroid game. And this Metroid does not know that the station's about to blow up. Charging up the missiles, Shin, does not make them do more damage. All it does is add the extra particles, which the way they would have to hit on the exact same frame, and those particles only do 1 damage. And then very easy final boss here. Difficult casually, but get your GGs in the chat for Destructor, just standing there shooting up, mashing, and going to finish with a very low 113. Destructor with an official time of 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 10 seconds. Get your GGs in chat as Destructor is going to move on. And Sci-Fi validating the run with the low height using the morph ball setup to give a little extra leniency at the cost of about a quarter of a second. And we're definitely gonna see about getting these guys in here for an interview. Chat, if you've got any questions here, go ahead and drop those in chat as well, and I will feel free to ask our runners. And Sci-Fi going to finish with also an excellent time here. Get your GGs in chat for Sci-Fi, gonna finish with 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 24 seconds. Very respectable time. And tons of GGs pouring into chat as we are waiting to get the runners in for an interview if they're available. And we are joined here by Destructor, GG Destructor. Excellent time there with a 1:13:10.
Thank you very much.
How are you feeling about this run?
Great. That's a great time, honestly. Yeah, I did not expect it to be this good somehow. I feel like there have been a lot of negative points about this run, but it is what it is, and objectively, the ending result is extremely good. That's only 12 seconds behind my PB, so that's what a time to do it, especially versus such an opponent. So I'm very happy about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Always love to see such a top time in the race, and gonna have to wait a couple days to see who your next opponent is gonna be, but looks like we are going to get an all-European winner semi, or loser semis rather, as you'll be going up against either Bench Juice or FPIZ.
Mm-hmm.
And that race I mentioned earlier in the stream will be at 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. That'll be pretty hype, and it looks like we're getting Sci-Fi ready to join us here as well.
Crap.
And
Might just
here's Sci-Fi, GG.
GG Sci-Fi.
Hello. GG.
How are you feeling about your run, Sci-Fi?
Just decent run. Kinda screwed up late game a little bit, but that's fine. It was a bit above average early game by my standard. I saw 25 4x supers and I freaked out a little.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry, but oh my goodness. I'm about to drop a banger of an information. I just got a flat 46, the flattest 46 you could ever ask for.
Nice.
What?
Oh, wait, no, flat 46.
0.00. This
Excuse
is
me?
dumb.
One
Yes.
frame off of a 45 then?
Yes.
Excuse me?
Okay, so bear in mind, once, like a few years ago, I got a 46 00.04. That was the best recorded 44 in game time. I just beat that, and what? I'm sorry for killing the interview, but what? This is
Oh
the
no,
dumbest thing I've ever seen.
that is fantastic.
This is so dumb.
Really fantastic. Very
Destructing
nice.
everything except that 45-minute barrier.
Yup.
It was that little false start in I think Sector 3 where there was just a couple frames at the bottom of the elevator.
Yep, because I was checking something on OBS and forgot to put the focus back on BizHog. That's it. Well, it is what it is. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, at least if I remember right, it's not killing your chance at a first 45 because I believe your PB is a 45.
It is indeed, yes.
Otherwise, you would hate to see that one.
Oh, I already do. Well, no, honestly, yeah, I would hate it if that was the case, but I'm just laughing it off so hard right now because that's just beautiful. That's
Okay,
perfection.
4709 here, and not any 47 flat shenanigans.
Yep.
And I'm just trying to think that I don't have a lot of questions in mind because you two just both played really good runs. There's not a whole lot to think back on here. Chat, do you have any questions here? And Schmade dropping the clip of the 46 to the frame. Okay, Flash in chat asking both of our runners, how big is the sun?
$696,340 kilometer of radius. Yes, I googled this.
And Flash calling you a winner, I mean the screen already saying that because of the time here.
Damn, Autumn dropping the facts. I don't need Flash Frost approval to be a winner. Dab. Oh,
Schmade asking, is that your second best RTA?
I believe so. I cannot remember if my previous PB... My previous PB, that's the funny thing, my previous PB was a 45.57. But I think it beats that one in terms of RTA, despite not beating it in-game time. Which is absolutely insane. My text was pretty good for this run, I'll admit. So that must be why I find such a difference. Let me check the obsolete runs. Yeah, previous RTA PB was 1:13.13, so it's 3 seconds better RTA, but 3 seconds worse in-game time.
Oh, that's a really interesting way for that to shake out there. And Schmade saying, Sci-Fi, was this your third best RTA? At this point, I think I'm just outsourcing my interviewing to Schmade. Schmade has way better questions than I can think of.
What time did I get on last race with Mike Food? I forgot, but it's also 2x. I forgot if this is third or fourth.
I can check your time since I have the race time open. Against Mike Food, you had a 1:14.27, so this was 5 seconds
Okay.
faster.
Okay, this is actually my third best, yeah. My best was my PB, 1:13.55. Then my second was my previous PB, which is 1:14.15. So this is the third one, yeah.
And that consistency, absolutely love to see that. And it's been great to just watch you as you've been bringing down your times over the course of this year. And putting up an absolutely respectable performance here, finishing in 6th place in the tournament.
Thank you.
Yep, very good job on your run, because let me tell you, you were probably definitely the opponent that scared me the most in the entire bracket.
That's a big compliment.
And that's a deserved one.
Good luck on
Absolutely.
your next match, whether
Thank
it'll
you.
be versus Estes or Bench Juice.
And I will definitely need to replicate such a performance if I want to have any chance at taking the win.
Yeah, and if you can put up another run like this one, those two definitely are going to have their work cut out for them. I
Will
look
do my
forward
best.
to seeing that race once we get it scheduled.
I think I'm getting great times when I'm extremely sleep deprived somehow. So I guess I know what's the recipe.
Huh, yeah, just don't sleep, just
Yeah, start
no thoughts,
work.
only fusion.
Yeah, wake up at 3 a.m. for work every day, and that's just how you cook in Metroid Fusion. Let's go.
Oh, 3 a.m. That is brutal.
It is.
Even without accounting for time zones, that's still before I go to sleep some nights. Does anyone have any further thoughts before we wrap up and hand the channel back over to Speedgaming?
Thank you for hosting and commentating this race.
Absolutely. I'm glad I was able to get my tech issues ironed out so that we only lost a couple minutes. Computer completely locked up right as I joined to get everything set up here. And just a reminder, chat, go ahead and give these runners a follow. Two of the best in the game. Also, keep an eye out later. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to watch it live, but 4 p.m. Eastern today. So 3.5 hours from now, we're going to have winners finals. Monkey SMB versus C Scotty W over on Speedgaming 5. That'll be commentated by Schmade and Ross, so that is going to be an excellent show. And with the times Monkey's been putting up lately, actually a chance to take a race over Scotty, and that is not something you get to see. Also, as a shout out, there will be a Portuguese restream for that one over on Speedgaming Portuguese. And Destructor, you are right, you are the king of 46.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's a good thing you opted to skip the reactor E-Tank. Alright, but with that, we'll go ahead and hand back GG's once again to both runners for excellent races today and throughout the whole tournament. And I've been Autumn Out of Habit, commentating this race, and we will see you next mission.